Rohit, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Now we are audible.
Okay, so you could have been say these things to me, है ना? That I am audible or not. Okay.
I'm checking, ma'am, whether it is my problem or
Okay, okay, no issues. Okay, so the thing
actually
is
I'm
in that,
the
yeah.
first day I'm attending a class, ma'am. That's it. Don't know.
Okay, so whatever problem you will face, simply you can just unmute your mic and talk to me, and you can also type out there. Okay, if you're not understanding the concept, also you can just simply say that. Okay, so today we're
Okay,
going
ma'am.
to start about that paper one ka unit one, that is your non-coordinate, and that's how we are going to talk about that non-coordinate, then evolution, ecology, and everything. Okay, like as the syllabus has been mentioned in your UPSC geology optional paper, the series will go that's way only. Okay, so before connecting that, okay, so there are so many things that non-coordinate and coordinate for the classification and all. So first major thing is the basis of the classification. First, if we understand what is the basis of the classification, that is directly or indirectly connected with that RH Whittaker classification. Because that is one of the very basic topic which is relating with your 12th knowledge. But you need to know, because ultimately all the topic we are going to talk about in geology, even the ecology also, the thing is actually connected with the energy system. Okay, the most efficient energy system in that organism will be, the better will be the survivor, है ना? So before even talk about that animal classification, we first talk about that overall classification of that living world. Okay, so initially what happened, all the scientist community has sat and they talked about that all the living organism can be classified either two, either they will be the plant or they will be the animal. They said okay, they said okay, fine, just tell me on what basis you are saying that. So what is the major basis of the classification was cell wall, was cell wall, that in the plant the cell wall is present and in the animal the cell wall is absent. So this was called the two basis of classification, two system basis of classification. Then further, some of the organisms, some of the scientists came and they said, no, no, but there's a one more thing. What about that? Then they said that there are some things which have this cell wall, but neither they are resembling with the plant, nor they are resembling with the animals. Then what are they? They said that both type of plant and animal has a similar kind of cell. That is called the eukaryotic cells. That means this kind of animals, either the plant or the animal, if we read about the cell, then we what we'll see, of course this topic will connecting with that evolution and the cytology also. Okay, so what we'll see, then we'll see the nucleus, then we see the so many mitochondria and this and that, so many other Golgi, ER, and so many things. But what another organism has been discovered, that was having the cell first of all, but they were not having any such cell organelle, such as they do not have the nucleus, they do not have the mitochondria and all. So the third classification was done about that prokaryotes. Prokaryotes. Prokaryotic cell, that was Monera. That was Monera and either the bacteria. From here you can also solve the question of your UPSC prelims. Okay. Then they have this is something is called three class system of classification. Then they have said something, okay, but there are again unicellular organism. There's a one unicellular organism having the there's a one unicellular organism that having the nucleus, but the another unicellular organism that do not have the nucleus. Then they said ki they are not plants, they are not plants, they are not animals, yes, not animals. So the further fourth system of classification was done, was about that protista. The fourth class was classified into the protista. What are the protista? All the unicellular, all the unicellular eukaryotic organism. There was further differentiation because we are from geology, so we are going to talk about. Then there's a fourth system classification has done. Then they said that there's a one another organism which are not the unicellular, but they are a group of cells. You can say the group of cells is called the tissue-based classification. But then what is the difference between this? This is also can be said something similar with the plants. They do perform, yes, but they are both heterotrophic and the majorly they are the heterotrophic. They said ki then what is the major difference? Then they said ki whatever we have talked about the cell wall in the first one, है ना? So there is a different kind of cell wall. So that's how now this is fourth and now this is five. Although after the five classification, there's another in the study, there's the sixth and the seventh. But the most accepted is one year of R.H. Whitaker five system classification. What is the sixth one? So in that sixth one, what has happened here? When we talk about the prokaryotic cell wall or the monera. So abhi sixth wall abhi we will not talk about. उसी में further classification. So now just write like that. R.H. Whitaker classification. R.H. Whitaker classification of living world. Of living world. What was the classification? First classification was done. This is not the only division of the class, but this is also the division or the series of the evolution. So the first was the Monera, second was the Protista, third was the fungi, fourth was the plants, and fifth was the Animalia. This is the most accepted basis of the classification because this basis or this differentiation has been done on majorly five bases. Okay, the five basis characteristics. From this actually in your UPSC prelims also the multiple question has been came. So the first was the type of cell. Type of cell. They said okay, this is a prokaryotic. This is a prokaryotic. This is a eukaryotic. This is a eukaryotic. This is also eukaryotic. This is also eukaryotic, and this is also eukaryotic. So in UPSC prelims 2023, the statement was all the prokaryotic are the bacteria. So generally when we solve the UPSC question, what we understand like that all and always जो होते हैं वो हमें क्या करने चाहिए, that are mostly the negative, not correct, right? Yes, that is applicable in some of the question, but again if you are from the science background, if this is true, this is true, if this is not, this is not, right? So there's something the science saying, if the science is saying, of course we will tell you where the exception exists. If science is saying that all the prokaryotic comes under the Monera classification of RH, because this is in your 12th class also. So that's why UPSC gave the significance to this. अभी तो ऑर्थोपोडा 2025 के क्वेश्चन में तो ऑर्थोपोडा क्लास भी पूछा गया है, राइट? जो बहुत कॉमन है, the things which are very common in that for the normal students also, it has been asked by the UPSC in the prelims also. Okay, so the first was the type of cell was eukaryotic. Then the cell aggregation, the cell aggregation, a type of body, you can also say that the type of body, it was unicellular. Yes, it was unicellular. This is also unicellular. Yes, this is a multicellular. This is a multicellular but tissue based. But tissue based. This is also the multicellular but organ based. But organ based. And this is also the multicellular and organ based. Okay. The nucleus is the most important thing. So the third basis of the classification was nucleus. Okay, nucleus or nuclear organization. So the nucleus or nuclear organization, this is absent, present, 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 and present also. Okay. Then here, this is a question. This is the next most important from which UPSC has been asked at least 3 times of question. From this is the only point, that is your cell wall. Cell wall present, yes, but that is your made up of peptidoglycan. That is your made up of peptidoglycan. This is again one of the very important component we will cover in the biochemistry. That's your carbohydrate, right? Peptidoglycan. This is a present but the cellulosic. Both actually cellulosic. This is fungi also has the present but non-cellulosic. Non-cellulosic. cellulosic. That was a major differentiation basis of the fungi. Okay, non cellulosic chitin. ठीक है, chitin भी लिख सकते हैं, but non cellulosic is a basic thing. This is also present, and the cellulosic. 2022 में, I guess if I'm not wrong, 2022 में 24 में, the direct question was what is the difference of the plants and animal, and why the geology is important. This is one of thing also, the food chain ऐसे सीधे सीधे question था, because this is your NCERT line. The types of food chain are, so ऐसे तो आप multiple type बोल सकते हो, grazing बोल सकते हो, detritivores बोल सकते हो, then oceanic, then grassland, and so many types. But NCERT says that, and we also cover in that way only. The types of food chain are mainly two, which is described by the ecosystem scientist. Okay, so first is your grazing. That means why the differentiation of the food chain. We are going to talk about the further, because the level of energy investment. Okay, so यहाँ पे आपकी completely upset. The cell wall is completely okay. That is your fourth level of classification, and the last one, of course, the nutritional level. The last one is nutrition. So bacteria, nutrition क्या है? The bacteria. So when we talk about the autotrophic, so in the autotrophic we talk about the both photoautotrophic and chemoautotrophic, है ना? Some of the like plants make the autotrophic में photo. That means in the presence of sunlight. This is a nutritional level that is making the difference in that food chain. That's why I'm trying to connect it here, है ना? So nutrition, when we talk about the autotrophic, we further talk about in that ecology वाले chapter में, that ecosystem वाले the chapter, that chemoautotrophic, that is your purple sulfur bacteria or the thiobacteria. Yes, the nutritional may, so that means bacteria are the both. So bacteria are decomposers also. So bacteria are both autotrophic and heterotrophic, है ना? So bacteria are both autotrophic and heterotrophic ठीक है? Protestas both auto and euglena. Euglena comes in the protesta, है ना? देखो, there's one thing also, we are not going to further classify the Monera, protesta, fungi and animal plants, but again listen very carefully, है ना? Because mains लिखने से पहले you have to have certain the prelims and you have to have qualify like, so there should be some kind of advantage also, ना, science background होने से. So protesta, when we talk about this basis of the this normal classification basis, okay, so in that euglena, in that protesta, we talk about that protozoa. Yes, protozoa in that vertical system we keep in that protesta. But when we talk about that animalia, which we are going to talk about in that today's chapter, है ना? Today's further the zoology optional. Of course, protozoa is properly mentioned in the animalia. So Plasmodium, Paramecium, such kind of animals belonging from the protozoa have their own space and their position in your UPSC zoology optional. But actually जो protozoa है, that is placed into the protista. Okay, dianflagellates and the protista and some kind of, we are not going to further classify. We are going to today start with our animalia only. ठीक है? Yes, Roki, कर सकते हैं. Of course you कर सकते completely fine. Okay, so that is your both autotrophic and heterotrophic ठीक है? So यहाँ से just remember that protozoa comes into your protista class, है ना? But we are going to talk in that animalia, not actually animalia classified, because we are from the zoology background, so we talk in that. Okay, diatoms, dinoflagellates and the dinoflagellate and the protozoa, that is here something. Fungi are your completely heterotrophic. बैच मुझे शो में फ्राइडे को हाँ हाँ नहीं नहीं एक्चुअली लेते आइए, अभी मैं थोड़ा करके मिक्स कर दीजिएगा, ठीक? Okay, fine, Roki. This is your heterotrophic. ठीक है? Then plants में you have the completely autotrophic. Yes, plants are your completely autotrophic. Even your the insectivorous plants are not heterotrophic. Do not say that. Insectivorous plants are only dependent on some kind of insects. for that nutritional deficiency, that is your nitrogen, right? So ऐसे तो अगर if it is a, if the insectivorous plants are the heterotrophic, then mangroves are also, because mangrove roots comes outward है ना, that is your negative geotrophic. They come because of the whatever the nutritional deficiency. So this is a kind of adaptation, but simultaneously they make their own food. So that is the reason. Okay, so this is your autotrophic, and of course animalia are the completely heterotrophic, are completely heterotrophic. Okay, this kind of division occur. So whoever wants to just make this diagram quickly, make this chart. Yes, yes, please make this chart. If you'll start with such basis, है ना, such basic things, you'll not have any kind of confusion. Even we are going to talk about, even from this chart only, you won't believe, but at least there are 5 to 6 questions came only from this chart in your UPSC prelims, है ना? So that's why it's important also. Rohit, please make this diagram, chart, sorry. कंप्लीट कर लेना फटाफट, 34 हो रहे हैं, 36 से कंप्लीट कर लो, लेट मी नो दैट. And next make the heading coelom. First we'll talk about on the basis of what this kind of differentiation occur in that lower invertebrate and higher. Then even if you know anything, है ना, then still you can write at least 5 to 6 points further when we talk about the single phylums. प्लीज कम, इतना लेट क्यों यार, टाइम देखो, क्लासेस होती है इसके पहले. कोई बात नहीं, अच्छा बैठो. ऑनलाइन एक्सेस है आपके पास? ऑनलाइन एक्सेस है आपके पास ना? डन रोहित एंड सुरभि, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक करें.
Yes, ma'am.
ओके चलो, नेक्स्ट मेक द हेडिंग coelom. देखो, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल we'll talk a little bit, then we talk about. So now we are going to talk about in this chart we are going to talk about the animalia. ठीक है, we are going to talk about the animalia, that means animal classification or the animals group. So the complete animal group is actually classified into your two classes, right? So the complete animals are classified into your two groups. The first is your non-chordate. The first is your non-chordate, and the second one is your chordate. The second one is your chordate. First of all, I'm going to tell the importance of this chapter, importance of this unit. है ना? So in your syllabus, the non-chordate and chordate has been mentioned simultaneously. But if you see the syllabus, yes, this topic, this unit will going to take the time. I'll tell you why. Because from this single non-chordate, if you talk about the single and if you talk about the combinedly, if you talk about the simple single, about the non-chordate, there's at least 8 to 10 questions. If you talk about the non-chordate and chordate, there are at least 12 to 13 questions per year. Okay, for that of course we're going to further see the PYQs and all, but this unit will going to take the time. So ये वाला problem नहीं होना है. Understand the concept, understand the topic thoroughly, and then we'll see कि कहाँ पर fasten up कर सकते हैं या कहाँ पर सिर्फ dictate कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, so non-chordate is actually classified into your lower invertebrate and the higher invertebrate. Why we classify that? Accordingly we take the test also. So why we classified like that, lower invertebrate and higher invertebrate? That is actually the classification. So when we talk about the Q, this is again one of the question that theory of origin of chordate. So when we talk about the theory of origin of chordate, so actually we connect that one is lower chordate में annelida and orthopoda and echinodermata with the development of the chordata. So understand each point very very ऐसा deeply. जहाँ पे doubt हो please ask me. Okay. So actually this non-chordate is further divided into lower invertebrate and invertebrate majorly on two or three bases. First is your coelom. आपके syllabus में coelom पहले mention है, but actually I am going to talk about the germ layer. The first is the germ layer. The first is the germ layer, the second is the coelom, and third is your symmetry. Third is your symmetry. So if you understood these basic three concepts, even if you do not, let's say you must have seen that the general characteristics of the protozoa and the basis of their classification. Such kind of questions comes into your examination. I'll show you where and when. Okay. So even suppose that if we talk about the annelida, so annelida, if you know what kind of germ layer is there, which kind of coelom is there, and which kind of symmetry is there. Why this is the basis of classification? Because these three bases are shows the complexity level of the development of organism. Complexity level of the development of organism. Okay. How? अभी you can make the note. अभी हम लोग सिर्फ concept समझ रहे हैं. I'll dictate. You can make the note after that. Okay. How this is a development as a concept. बहुत basic से शुरू करते हैं. एकदम basic से है ना. How the origin, how the animal develop. So basis development क्या है? Fertilization. Of course, even if we talk about the asexual reproduction, even then, है ना. Asexual अभी छोड़ देते हैं. So very basic thing is about the sperm or the male gamete plus female gamete plus female gamete. What has happened? Male plus female gamete, fertilization occurred and form the zygote. The simple thing is about the zygote is that is the fusion of the nucleus of the male gamete and the nucleus of the female gamete. After that, from the zygote, whatever the abhi we are not talking about that diplontic, haplontic, anything we are not. We are simply talking about that fertilization zygote. What is zygote? Zygote is the simple first stage after the development of after the fusion of the male and female gamete. After this, the zygote is converting into that complete organism. So that means something is going to decide at this level. This is here actually we talk about the germ layer. If there is a two germ, and then here we are connecting the zygote with the three things. First is the germ layer. राजकुमार यहीं पे हमने कवर किया था ना डेवलपमेंट बायोलॉजी में, ठीक है. सो यहाँ पे germ layer, if there is two germ layer or there is three germ, all the animals either they classified into diploblastic. So the first stage of this zygote is your called morula. Okay, that is morula. That means a very solid stage. As soon as in the morula is simple the division of the 16 या 8 cell stage. As soon as in the morula, देखो अभी how many layer you can see in that morula? Can you see any single layer? You can see simple this is a ball है ना, एक outer है और एक inner है. So there cannot be the one blastic layer. ठीक है. As soon as suppose that now here blastic is something, suppose that there's a blastula cavity. Now you can tell me that at least there is two layer है ना, एक ये outer side वाली और एक ये inner side वाली. So that is called epiderm or that is called endoderm. ठीक है. So minimum how many layer will be forming? The minimum layer will be forming the two. That is called the triploblast. Gradually in that complexity level of development as the evolution has occurred, है ना, we know that the basis of evolution is your oceanic water. Okay, but as soon as the level of in external environment was changing, accordingly the development of the animal and the plant was also changing, right? So जैसे algae से हम लोग आते हैं complex forest system पे, right? वैसे ही. So what has happened in that blastula cavity? There is a proper development of cavity like structure, and that cavity like structure which is forming, which is the cavity like structure, first of all is called the coelom. First of all is called the coelom. So coelom has further, as soon as suppose that actually development has like that. So आपका एक ये स्टेज था, फिर क्या हुआ, ये स्टेज डेवलपमेंट स्टार्ट हुआ, आफ्टर दैट ये कैविटी डेवलपमेंट ऐसे करके, एंड दिस इज द फॉर्मिंग थ्री लेयर, this is the forming three layer, one, two, and three. On the surrounding of the cavity, that is called the coelom. This is called the coelom. Coelom, on the basis of the development of coelom, we are going to go. Every single topic in invertebrate is connected. अभी हम लोग सिर्फ कहाँ क्या पढ़ रहे थे? What we were covering that germ layer, either the diploblastic or the triploblastic. Triploblastic क्यों develop हो रही है? Why the triploblastic is developing? Because of the development of the coelom. ठीक है? So germ layer is connected with the development of the coelom. ठीक? अब coelom मतलब those animal which having the coelom, that means there is having the openings, right? There is having the, understood? Please guys understand, jahan bhi doubt ho please ask me, okay? So that means if coelom, agar there is a cavity, so there must be the entry or the exit point, right? So if there is one entry point or one exit point, that is also kind of development of organism. So when this cavity, isko dusre color se kar dete hain, so when this cavity is is emerging from one side and touching to the other side, this is the development is called the deuterostome and proterostome, है ना? Stome मतलब mouth or opening. So those animal, यहाँ से what you can write, what you can understand, what you can connect, only those animal which having the proper development of the coelom, है ना? Coelom में भी अभी we are going to talk about the those animal which having the development of the coelom, they are further going to classificate into the proterostome and deuterostome. Have you heard about this term, Rajkumar? क्या होता है ये? यस, ड्यूटेरोस्टोम मतलब माउथ एंड एनस, जैसे कि ह्यूमन में दोनों ओपनिंग है, पेरिस्टोम में पहले माउथ उसके बाद एनस, ड्यूटेरोस्टोम में पहले एनस उसके बाद माउथ, है ना? So that means suppose that if you see the human or any animal, they have the majorly two opening, that is called the gut, है ना? Alimentary canal. There are multiple that we know now, because to survive any animal, why this gut is very important. There's other openings also, but to survive the animals, there is basis of that food. So if you are ingesting something, if you are having something as your food, there must be formation of the excretory material, you know, as there is excretory material, there must be the other opening. ठीक है? अब again if we talk about the coelom, यहाँ पे coelom है ना? So if we talk about further coelom, so coelom is actually divided into, देखो अभी यहाँ से you guys will tell me, coelom has so many theories also. So coelom is further divided into, mainly on the basis of the coelom, actually the animals has been classified into three types, okay, grouped into three types. The first is called acoelomate, the second is called the pseudocoelomate, the second is called the pseudocoelomate, and third is called the eucoelomate. Eucoelomate has further divided into two types: enterocoelomate, schizocoelomate, and enterocoelomate. अभी सब लिखेंगे, अभी कुछ डाउट करने की जरूरत नहीं. All of things we are going to write about. देखो, what is the meaning of the acoelomate? Completely absent. Acoelomate are those organisms in which the coelom is not present. That means completely absent. Now guys, you answer me and connect it like that, that acoelomate organisms, how the acoelomate organisms are connecting in that kind of layer development. Can we say that, Rajkumar and Surbhi and Rohit, everyone? So can we say that the acoelomate animals can be the diploblastic animals? Surbhi, Rohit, can we say that acoelomate animals are also the diploblastic animals? Rohit,
Yes, you can say
Surbhi,
that.
got it? No? Because in that diploblastic animals, what we have seen that there's only two layers, there is not development. even only that is a development of the third layer, and the development of the coelom is connected with each other. Okay, then we talk about the pseudocoelom. Dekho, there's one more thing. As just consider in your brain, just consider, just imagine something in your thing. जैसे कि suppose that if we talk about the porifera also has so many openings like this, है ना? When we that we call the water canal system. That means there is not only the fixed opening of the food entry or the वो आपका digestive system की opening नहीं है ना? Water is entering through the osteo or entering through the osculum. That is a normal opening. Okay? So as when the development from that zygote, there's a development of gradually the development of that coelom was happening. So ऐसा तो हुआ नहीं होगा, that not must be has happened कि there's a complete or either the complete absence or the complete presence coelom. There must be the development of the intermediate stage, है ना? जब when we form something, है ना? So there must be the intermediate stage in which it is the form of patchy like a structure. So pseudocoelomate is that kind of animals in which the mesoderm, है ना, और जो सीलोम कैविटी होती है वो स्टार्ट अपीयर होना शुरू करती है. So there is not the complete absence of the coelom or not the complete presence of the coelom. It is just start or the scene of the developing of the coelom. ठीक है? So that means pseudo मतलब इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Fall. जो आपकी mesoderm layer है ना, middle one, it it shows like कि okay, I am going to form the coelom, but it is actually not forming the coelom, but it is a development stage. ठीक है? So it is your intermediate stage. एंड यूसिलोमेट ये हम लोग क्लास उसके साथ डिक्टेट करेंगे. यूसिलोमेट आर दोज एनिमल इन विच द प्रॉपर सिलोम हैज बीन डेवलप्ड. तो यूसिलोमेट से हम लोग बात करते हैं आपके एनालीड्स की. तो यहाँ तक आपके कंप्लीट एनिमल्स आते हैं योर सीडो और असिलो में लोअर इन्वर्टिब्रेट, बिकॉज ड्यूरिंग द इवोल्यूशन they have not developed that much complex level of body. ठीक है? सो सिलोम का सिग्निफिकेंस ये है, जितने भी इंपॉर्टेंट ऑर्गन्स है आपकी बॉडी में, if you see the human skeleton, all of your important organs are present in the type of cavity. Think about the brain, think about the lungs, think about the digestive system, है ना? Every single important organ are present in your the vascular cavity that is known as, right? So coelom is actually giving the space to the development. Why the complex development? Because of course the changing the evolution, that complexity level was required. जैसे कि we talk about the kidney, है ना? So in that your lower organism, kidney is also present in the type of cavity. So in your lower organism, there are so many different level of organ of vaginas, है ना? Then flame cells, so many different level of excretory system are found, right? In your gluteal helminthes, SK helminthes, so many annelid, orthopoda. But that level of development of kidney does not occur, which occur in the caudate. ठीक है? But that shows the connectivity of origin of caudate theory. ठीक है? So ये concept समझ आ गया everyone? Development of this and development of that. The third point which you may find unrelatable or maybe less relatable, that is your symmetry. Okay, so do we know that अगर सोचो, अगर the most developed organism on this planet of earth is we human. Think like that, if अगर one side का limb development proper ना हो, can we better survive? No. That means symmetry is actually again the three types, है ना? Mainly three types होती है. The first is asymmetrical. सबसे lowest organism आपके होते हैं asymmetrical. ठीक? Then आपकी radial symmetry and then आपकी आती है bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry जितनी भी है, all the chordates irrespective of anything are your bilateral symmetry. That shows actually symmetry shows the level of connecting with the level of more complex development. So the animal cannot even survive, but also can the develop over the other animals. ठीक है? समझ आ गया? जर्म लेयर को सीलम का कॉन्सेप्ट सबको समझ आ गया ना? चलो, start writing about the coelom. Make it heading coelom. Write it down. The coelom is a fluid-filled body cavity The coelom is a fluid-filled body cavity present present between the alimentary canal present between the alimentary canal and the body wall and the body wall which is lined with which is completely lined with which is completely lined with mesodermal tissues mesodermal tissues mesodermal tissues. It is a level of development. No. Formation of coelom, write down. Formation of coelom is a level of development, is the level of development in the animal organisms, in the animal organisms during the embryonic development, during the embryonic development, full stop. It is positioned, yeah, which is positioned inside the body, inside the body to surround, to surround and contain, and contain the digestive tract, the digestive tract and other organ. It is a secondary cavity. First cavity क्या है राजकुमार? It is a secondary cavity. Then what is the first cavity? Very good, very nice, impressive. It is a secondary cavity. Blastocyst तो basis है ना? Until the blastocyst will not form, the ectoderm and endoderm will not differentiate into itself, right? The coelom is a secondary cavity. It is a secondary cavity formed by formed by splitting of mesoderm, formed by splitting of mesoderm. So for any phylum, है ना? For any phylum, what is we have that either on the basis of three things which we have already explained. है ना? Suppose that if random I'll talk about, of course you guys must have, because आप लोगों ने zoology optional लिया है, so you guys must have the basis of the zoology little bit, है ना? Suppose that if we talk about the orthopoda, है ना? Tell me three basic thing about the orthopoda. So this is a triploblastic because it has a, है ना, and the true coelom or the eucoelomate, and the symmetry of course we can see, understand that is a bilateral. Basis thing है which देखो why we are repeating this content, because sometimes you have very good things to answer in the good things to write in the body, but you do not have enough content to write in the introduction, है ना? So ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने टॉपिक तैयार कर लिया है तो ठीक है, सिर्फ कोर्स सिलेबस का सिलेबस कंप्लीट करना इज नॉट अ टारगेट, है ना? आंसर राइटिंग भी हमारी एक बेसिक टारगेट है कि क्या इंट्रोडक्शन में जाना चाहिए, है ना? बिकॉज इंट्रोडक्शन एंड द कंक्लूजन हैज अ सेपरेट मार्किंग प्रॉपर्ली, ठीक है? सो वॉट एवर वी आर डिस्कस इन द क्लास, जस्ट लिसन इट केयरफुली, एंड जब हम टेस्ट लेंगे, जब हम पीवाई क्यू डिस्कस करेंगे, देन आई विल आस्क ईच वन ऑफ यू कि व्हाट टू राइट इन द इंट्रोडक्शन और द कंक्लूजन, ठीक है? नेक्स्ट राइट डाउन द coelom is secondary cavity formed by splitting of mesoderm, ये लिखा है ना? Full stop. In some animals, it also lined with the mesothelium. It also lined with the mesothelium. Next, make the heading development of coelom. Development of coelom. Coelom is mesodermally lined cavity. Coelom is mesodermally lined cavity full stop, During the development of an embryo, during the development of an embryo, the coelom formation begins in the gastrulation stage. The coelom formation begins at the gastrulation stage. Full stop. The gastrulation stage, full stop. The developing digestive tube, the developing digestive tube of an embryo, the developing digestive tubes of an embryo forms forms as a blind pouch, as a blind pouch called called the archenteron, called the archenteron. The origin of the coelom is uncertain. The origin of the coelom is uncertain. The oldest known animal, the oldest known animal to have had a body cavity, to have had a body cavity is Varna animalcula usion. Is Varna animalcula. On the basis of on the basis of the development of the coelom, the development of the coelom, there are various theories. There are various theories. First, schizophyly. First, schizo, schizo, schizophyly. Schizophyly. Schizocoely. Sorry guys. COEY. सीलब होता है ना, सीली. फुल स्टॉप. प्रोटेरोस्टोम और ड्यूटेरोस्टोम के कॉन्सेप्ट में कोई डाउट तो नहीं है ना? है ना? As the development of the coelom occurs, the both side of opening in that diagram we have talked about this. यहाँ पे as the development of the coelom occurs, it will open at the both side of the body. That is your the mouth and the anus. So one side of opening. So first, if the first opening is forming the, so actually on the basis of the development of the coelom or the opening of the coelom at the both side, that is why when we talk about the torsion and the detorsion, we talk about the two different openings, है ना? So on the basis of that, there is a two type of animal. The first is called the proterostome. Proterostome. प्रोटेरोस्टोम होते हैं जिनमें फर्स्ट ओपनिंग जो होती है वो माउथ बनाती है. फर्स्ट ओपनिंग जो होती है वो माउथ बनाती है और सेकंड ओपनिंग जो होती है दैट इज फॉर्मिंग द एनस. ठीक है. फिर आपके अच्छा ये लिखा तो है फर्स्ट ओपनिंग में माउथ बनता है, व्हाइल इन द ड्यूटेरोस्टोम में फर्स्ट ओपनिंग इज फॉर्मिंग द एनस जो कि ह्यूमन होते हैं और सेकंड ओपनिंग क्या बना रही है आपकी माउथ. ठीक है. कॉर्डेट में है ये, ऑफ कोर्स इसमें भी है. साइजोसिलो इन प्रोटेरोस्टोम या इन प्रोटोस्टोम, ये स्पेलिंग है. इन प्रोटोस्टोम, in protostome the coelom forms by a process known schizophyly. यही वाला word known schizophyly. The archentron initially forms. The archentron initially forms, and the mesoderm splits into two layers. And the mesoderm splits into two layers. The first attaches to the body. The first attaches to the body wall or ectoderm. The first attaches to the body wall or ectoderm, forming the forming the parietal layer, forming the parietal layer, and the second parietal layer, underline that parietal layer and underline that ectoderm also, and the second surrounds the endoderm, and second surround the endoderm or alimentary canal, or alimentary canal, forming the visceral layer, forming the visceral layer. Guys, everyone, just listen one thing here. देखो, so majorly your triploblastic have three kind of development. ठीक है, sorry, triploblastic have three development of germ layer. The one is ectoderm. बहुत ध्यान से सुनना आंसर में. The outer one is ectoderm. The inner one is endoderm. So can we say that in that pseudocoelomen, in which the coelom has just it started the development. और pseudo को रहने देते हैं, pseudo में तो properly pseudo in that pseudo properly not visible. So when we talked about this, yes, when we talk about that eucoelom, ठीक है, eucoelom में sizocoelom, if you compare, वैसे तो both have the true coelom, okay, but even if you compare the sizocoelom and the enterocoelom, the enterocoelom is very well developed. That's a highly developed coelom, है ना. So यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, what is happening, that is a sizocoelom and that's what we are talking about the sizocoely, यही word तो है ना. So यहाँ पे what is happening, the mesoderm is actually rupturing into your ectoderm, or you can say forming the supportive layer, है ना. तो जो यहाँ पे when we talk about that eucoelom में, sizocoelom में आपके आते हैं annelids, orthopods, and molluscas, ठीक है. When we talk about the enterocoelom, that is means proper development of the coelom, ठीक है. इसमें आपके आते हैं echinodermata, and higher classification and higher complete chordata, ठीक है. So if we say here, suppose that अगर हम लोग बात करें आपकी non chordates की, non chordate का पहला फाइलम प्रोटोजोआ, सेकंड माइनर और मेजर के भी हम लोग वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्कस. प्रोटोजोआ, देन पॉरीफेरा, देन सीलेंट्रेटा, प्रोटोजोआ, पॉरीफेरा, सीलेंट्रेटा, फोर्थ टिनोफोरा. इनिशियली इट वाज प्लेस्ड इनटू दैट, बट अभी इसको माइनर फाइलम में भी कंसीडर करते हैं, ठीक है. देन प्लेटी हेलमेंट्स, देन एसके हेलमेंट्स, देन आपका एनालीड, देन ओके 7 है ये, ऑर्थोपोड्स, देन molluscas, देन इकाइनोडर्मिटा, देन इकाइनो. इसके अलावा और भी कोई है? ब्रैंकियोस्टोमा आपका जिसमें आता है हेमिकॉर्डेटा. So we do not place that hemichordata properly into that because it shows the development of chordate, but very fine. तो अभी इसके बारे में छोड़ देते हैं, ठीक है. So why we need to remember these things in the series only? Why we need to? Because As we talk about the Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, this is not only the phylums, but this is also the level of classification, sorry, or level of development. So when we talk about protozoa भी छोड़ देते हैं मान लो, वैसे तो protozoa, when we consider the protozoa into that, इसमें when we talk about the protozoa into protista में, so protistas are your unicellular eukaryote. तो protozoa भी अगर suppose that we leave it, है ना? Then when we talk about the porifera, porifera has the multiple cells started in the grouping of cells, but still they do not have some specific kind of things, है ना? तो इसको हम लोग tissue based कह सकते हैं, right? So यहाँ पे आपका टिश्यू बेस चल रहा है सिलेंट्रेट्स में, अगेन थोड़ा बहुत हाइड्रो एंड ओबेरिया एंड फाइसीलिया, but as we go from that porifera, coelenterata, platyhelminthes, eschelminthes, we also see the complex level of development. That's how they are differentiated into lower invertebrate and higher invertebrate. So यहाँ पे when we try to connect the development of the or the origin of the chordate theory, so यहाँ पे अभी हम लोग क्या देख रहे हैं, in that echinodermata what we are seeing that echinodermata have the enterocoelom, and enterocoelom further found in that higher organisms also. ठीक है, that means the complete chordata. यहाँ पे suppose that if we talk about the chordata, chordata has a further classification of all the things like fishes, है ना, like pisces, then amphibians, then reptiles, then birds and mammals. That means in all also, including the echinodermata, we have the enterocoelom cavity. Sorry, enterocoelom cavity. So can we connect the origin of the chordate theory with the echinodermata? कर सकते हैं, because both having the which kind of coelom is, समझ आ गया? आंसर कैसे राइट करना है, कनेक्ट कैसे करना है, even if you do not have anything, if you know the understand, if you have the understanding of concept, you can connect it. इसको annelid से भी कनेक्ट करें, देखो यहां तक आपका क्या है, up till your eschelminthes there is not even development of the coelom. ठीक है, फर्स्ट टाइम द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ प्रॉपर सीलोम, यहाँ पे देखो, इफ यू सी द एग्जांपल हियर, यहाँ तक स्यूडोसीलोम आपका आता है एसके हेलमिंथिस में, स्यूडोसीलोम आपको इसमें आता है एसके हेलमिंथिस में, so that means साइजोसीलोम is found in the annelida, right? So can we connect the development of annelida to the chordata, because all the chordata has the coelom, है ना, and it start appearing in the annelida. समझ आ गया? So when we talk, ये आपका सिलेबस में है, why I'm just pressurizing this topic of theory of origin, because ये सिलेबस में है आपका, ठीक है? तो origin और the development, ऐसे ही तो gradual तो development हुआ है. I'll see the one video, one very short video in the Telegram channel, you guys will see that, है ना, कैसे यहाँ से organism develop होके वहां पर आया, ठीक है? तो एक कनेक्शन आपका क्या हुआ, annelid से हुआ, और एक कनेक्शन आपका echinoderm से हुआ, जो कि हम लोग what we are can see. सीलोम से ही फर्दर हम कनेक्ट करते हैं द मेटामेरिज्म और द सॉरी और द सेगमेंटेशन, ठीक है, उसको हम लोग कनेक्ट करेंगे ऑर्थोपोड से, फर्दर वी आर गोइंग टू कनेक्ट एज, ठीक है, क्या लिख रहे हैं अपन, साइटोसिलोम, है ना, क्या लिखा लास्ट में, फॉर्मिंग द विसरल लेयर, ये लिखा है ना लास्ट में, फॉर्मिंग द विसरल लेयर, राइट? चलो नेक्स्ट देखो, द स्पेस बिटवीन द पैराइटल लेयर एंड द विसरल लेयर, the space between the parietal layer and visceral layer is known as coelom or body cavity, is known as coelom or body cavity. Next make enterocoeli, next make the heading enterocoeli. Enterocoeli डालिए हेडिंग, write it down, in deuterostomes, in deuterostome, in deuterostomes the coelom forms by enterocoeli, the coelom formed by enterocoeli, the archentron wall, full stop, the archentron walls, the archenteron walls produces buds of mesoderm, buds of mesoderm, And these mesodermal diverticula स्पेलिंग नहीं आएगा पूछ लेना, ठीक है? These mesoderm diverticula hollow hollow to become the coelomic cavities to become the coelomic cavities. Therefore, deuterostome also known as. So, abhi agar if I ask directly that from where the deuterostome found, you can directly tell me the which phylum? Echinodermata, right? That's why the deuterostome are therefore are also called enterocoelomates. Enterocoelomates. Major deuterostome coelomates belong to the just 1 minute. I'll just want to upload one thing. Trash. Let's just give me one thing. I'll just upload the diagram. You know, until there. Okay. हाँ क्या लिखा example write down examples of deuterostome contains majorly the clade chordata bracket में लिखो vertebrate bracket में vertebrate tunicates bracket close echinoderms and hemichordates यहाँ पे we have written now where is it that echinodermata and higher one. So echinodermata के बाद further जितने भी होंगे whatever hemichordate then spices and gnathos stomatites everything will come into this. Okay, चल. Next, make this diagram. Make this diagram quickly. ये जो आपके दो theories हैं, है ना, उसका ही diagram है. If there is something not clear, I'll elaborate. Please make this diagram, everyone. देखो फर्स्ट वन में साइजोसीली में mesoderm is present in the patched form है ना, and that is developing the coelom cytocoelom, while in this the enterocoelom में क्या है, mesoderm is proper developing into that and now surrounding it is, so that is your mesoderm, that is the difference between the cytocoely and the enterocoely. ठीक है, डन राजकुमार, गाइस हो गया, बताना होता है ना कि आपका हो गया डन मैम नहीं मैम, ठीक है, कनेक्ट क्लास प्लीज कम्युनिकेट दोनों साइड से, हो गया गाइस?
1 minute.
ओके मनीषा रोहित सर भी, चलो राइट डाउन करंट हाइपोथेसिस इंक्लूड, अगर आप नहीं बताओगे तो फिर समझ नहीं आएगा ना मुझे, राइट डाउन करंट हाइपोथेसिस इंक्लूड, हो गया ना राजकुमार, डायग्राम हो गया ना, करंट हाइपोथेसिस इंक्लूड, ऐसे करके पॉइंट फॉर्म में वी आर गोइंग टू राइट कंटिन्यूअसली, है ना, देयर इज 1 2 और 3 लाइन, ये आपकी बेसिस थी, फर्स्ट द एंटेरोसिलोल थ्योरी, द एंटेरोसील थ्योरी given by Langsteer, given by Langsteer, Lankester, Langsteer in 1875, in 1875, full stop. According to this, according to this theory, the coelom evolved from gastric pouches, from gastric pouches of Cnidarian ancestor, of Cnidarian, Thielen trait, wala Cnidarian, of Cnidarian ancestors, full stop. This is supported by, this is supported by research on flatworms and small worms. This is supported by research on flatworms and small worms in marine fauna. In marine fauna. Second, nephrocele theory. Nephrocele theory. According to again Lankester. According to Lankester, in 1874. According to Lancaster, Lankaster, in 1874, coelom originated as the expanded inner end. Coelom originated as the expanded inner end of a nephridium, of a nephridium. Third, schizocele theory. Third, schizocele theory, which states that, which states that coelom has mesenchymal origin, mesenchymal origin. Fourth one is gonocele theory. Gonocele theory. Given by Hatschek and Godrich. Given by Hatschek and Godrich and Godrich. It is the most accepted theory. It is the most accepted theory. According to this theory, according to this theory, the serial repletion, the serial repletion, the serial repletion of gonads observed in flatworms, observed in flatworms indicates the initial step towards the initial steps toward mesodermic repletion, towards mesodermal dermic repletion. Write it down. On the basis of development, on the basis of development, there are mainly three types of coelom. There are mainly three types of coelom that can be found in animal group. In animal group, first ocelomate, first ocelomate. Those animals, those animals which have completely absence or lack, which have completely absence or lack of a true coelom, of a true coelom, while while having having solid body, solid body during their embryonic development, during their embryonic development, with no fluid filled cavity, with no fluid filled cavity. Example, example, Protozoa porifera coelenterata, Pinofora, Platyhelminthes, Platyhelminthes. So that means in that classification, इसके above जितने भी हैं, इसके above Platyhelminthes इसके above जितने भी हैं, Protozoa को तो we will not kind unicellular है ना, so we not even think of Porifera. There are multicellular, but they are tissue based mainly. They do not have the proper organ level of development, है ना. So, but they have the specification. Coelentrates आपका hydro and obelia and phycelia. They do have, but their body is very transparent almost, है ना. So, if there will be the point कि coelentrate will be and the platyhelminthes both are the ocelli, है ना. So, आप ऐसे करके भी लिख सकते हो. ठीक है, like coelentrate, Ctenophora generally compared, generally placed in your minor phyla. The very low organism, very less number of organism are generally placed and they have very limited. So when we talk about the major phyla and the minor phyla, these are your major phyla, है ना. Gradually Ctenophora, इसको बोलते हैं comb jellies. They are also known as the comb jellies. They have, so actually the total classification is done on the mainly two bases: the number of organism and their diversification, like where they are found. So Ctenophora are very limited in nature, very limited location they are found, so they are generally put in the minor phyla. Okay, so you can say that coelenterata, but not all the organism of the coelenterata. That's why we are not placing it to ocelli. But we can say that above than platyhelminthes are you completely ocelli. They have the proper solid body mass of development. Okay, sure. Example, platforms. Platyhelminthes or platforms. Okay, next write down pseudocoelomate. Next write down pseudocoelomate. Pseudo मतलब, what is the simple meaning of pseudo? False, है ना. Gradually as we going to further in the syllabus completion, first thing we will do the deciphering the word. Those who are a little old student, they just get to know that, है ना. कोई भी टर्म आएगा, फर्स्ट वी अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग ऑफ दैट टर्म, दैट्स हाउ यू कैन स्टार्ट द इंट्रोडक्शन टू, है ना. सीरो मीन्स आपका होता है फॉल्स. ठीक है, राइट डाउन. दैट मीन्स false coelom, that means false coelom level development, false coelom level of development. those animals those animals which have the body cavity, which have the body cavity present, which are lined with the mesodermal tissues, which are lined with the mesodermal tissues, but not completely, but not completely. देखो what is happening in this, ये तो आपका साइलो और एंटेरो है. ठीक है, how you can connect the सीरोसिलोम, this is your proper endoderm, so that is your gut, है ना. that means there is surrounding the development, suppose that if we want to make the diagram in that, so there is a gut, there is a development of the mesodermal, but they are like this, है ना. So it shows that if that animal will further complex, if the evolution will happen, so this animal will further going to form. But again, mesoderm, even mesoderm, what is mesoderm? Mesoderm is a layer that should be the continuous, right? Mesoderm, even it's not itself continuous, so it is first there's a low level of development of the mesoderm, and there's a low level of development of mesoderm, so they are not proper surrounding the even the entero in the cavity also. ठीक है, तो सीटोसिलोम मतलब प्रॉपर डेवलप ही नहीं होती, फ्लूइड होता है वहां पे. The mesoderm also present in its a fluid form. They are not even covering that. Suppose that start of the formation has occurred. ठीक है, okay, write down. But not completely during the embryonic development. But not completely during the embryonic development. The space between the mesoderm and endoderm. Full stop. The space between the mesoderm and endoderm is filled with the fluid, is filled with the fluid. तो इसके पहले क्या था, सॉलिड मास था, है ना. इन योर ओसिलोमेट देयर इज अ प्रॉपर सॉलिड मास, बट नाउ देयर इज अ स्टार्ट ऑफ द डेवलपमेंट अ लिटिल फ्लूइड लाइक स्ट्रक्चर. ठीक है, तो अभी क्या हो गया, देयर इज अ डेवलपमेंट ऑफ mesoderm filled with the fluid, creating the pseudocoelomic condition, creating the pseudocoelomic or pseudocoelomic or coelom like appearance development, or coelom like appearance of development condition, of development condition. Example, nematodes and rotifers, actually escalmenthes. लिखो phylum. Example, phylum आपका क्या है, phylum SK helminths, SK helminths. ठीक है, then write it on. Nematodes. In that last batch, so many students have such kind of doubt. Ma'am, helminthes है कि SK helminthes है? So SK helminthes was its earlier name, है ना? Because initially when the animals has discovered, the major animal was discovered the Ascaris. Ascaris comes in that, है ना? Gradually there's some other rotifers and all have been developed. So later it named as a nematode. But if you're writing the SK helminthes or nematode, it will not be wrong. Okay, it is correct. Nematodes and rotifers. Rotifers are the wheel organs, है ना? That's why. Rounded. Rotifers and nematodes. Having the pseudocoelom. Yeah, are the pseudocoelomate animals. Are the pseudocoelomate animals. Next, make the heading. Coelomate. Third type is your coelomate. Acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and coelomate. Right? Coelomate. Write it down. Those animals, those animals that have a true coelom, that have a true coelom development, 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 that have a true coelom devel and completely lined by the mesodermal tissues, and completely lined by the mesodermal tissues in their embryonic development. In their embryonic development. The coelom is separated from the gut. The coelom is separated from the gut by mesentery. This is written by mesentery. The coelom is separated from the gut by the mesentery, comma. What is mesentery? Something related to the mesoderm, है ना? तभी M से नाम है, comma. A double layered membrane. A double layered membrane. Full stop. Stanza change करके लिखो. The true coelom further classified into two groups. ऐसे करके लिखना, ऐसे करके, है ना? इधर लिखो साइजोसिलोम, इधर लिखो एंटेरोसिलोम. Write it down. Saisocilum and enterocoelom. Saisocilum में लिखो. This type of coelomic body, this type of coelom formed. Saisocilum में लिखो. This type of coelom form from the splitting of solid mesodermal tissues. उसमें लिखो एंटेरोसिलोम में. This type of coelom forms from the out-pocketing of embryonic gut / archenteron. Next point इसमें लिखो differentiation. There sometimes in your question the differentiation has been asked in the saisocilum and the enterocoelom. So here you are going to write down. इसमें लिखो the type of cleavage in the zygote is generally holoblastic, spiral, and determinate. उसमें लिखो एंटेरो में लिखो the type of zygotic cleavage is radial and indeterminate. Is radial and indeterminate. इसमें लिखो found in invertebrates such as किसमें पाते हैं? Annelida, Arthropoda and mollusca. Annelida, Arthropoda and mollusca. Write it down there. Found in both higher invertebrate such as echinodermata, comma, hemichordata and higher classification of higher classification of animal groups such as chordata. Higher classification, all the chordata. Higher classification of animal group, all the chordata. Last point इसमें लिखो occurrence, occurrence या development, occurrence या सीधा occurrence लिख लो या type of development, whatever you want to write. क्या लिखेंगे इसमें? What we have written in the cytosolomy में protostome है ना, तो लिखो protostome. इसमें क्या लिखेंगे? deuterostome. समझ आ गया? कोई डाउट नहीं? चलो नेक्स्ट मेक द हेडिंग फंक्शन ऑफ सीलोम. फंक्शन ऑफ सीलोम. फर्स्ट, provide a hydroskeleton, sorry, provide a hydrostatic skeleton, provide a hydrostatic skeleton, hydrostatic skeleton. देखो what is happening here, what is this, that what does that mean है ना. Suppose that this is a coelom, ठीक है. So suppose that if there will be the push from one side है ना during that development, in any animal there can be the external pressure or something like that, or even the development, suppose that this side, that is why the proper development, one side is developing the exactly the other side. So if there will be external pressure, or if even if the development of organism, the organ will developing है ना, so they must require a little bit space. So suppose that if heart is developing, they will, heart सबसे पहले develop होता है, we have done in the उसमें. Suppose that the heart is developing, so there will be difference, and there will little pressure on the development of the lungs or the abdominal cavity, or the, or you can see the thoracic cavity when they're developing, there's a pressure in the abdominal cavity. So if there will be the coelom properly, and suppose that heart आपको यहाँ develop हो रहा है, so there will be the hydrostatic skeleton. What is the basic thing of the skeleton? Provide the support for the development of the different level of organ. So suppose that अगर अगर if you have ordered something, if you have something कि अगर आप कुछ ऐसा ऐसा कुछ मंगाओ जो कि फ्रेजाइल है, some kind of glass thing, if you can order है ना, तो उसको हम लोग उसको किसमें देते हैं? वो बबल रैप में देते हैं ना, जनरली बबल रैप में वो रैप करके देते हैं. व्हाई दे आर गिविंग दैट? बिकॉज बबल रैप इज गिविंग दैट काइंड ऑफ सपोर्ट टू व्हाटएवर इनसाइड दैट है ना. सो दैट बबल रैप इज अ काइंड ऑफ सीलोम इज देयर है ना, सो दैट उस पर डायरेक्ट प्रेशर ना आए. जो भी लेवल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है इन दैट एम्ब्रियोनिक डेवलपमेंट, they should not be feeling the direct force or the pressure of that. Okay, so that is a hydroscale, and because that is filled with that during the development, the complete is thing filled with the fluid like cavity है ना, and fluid is provide the best. तो जो अगर अगर इसके अंदर कोई चीज है उसको वाटर से आप कवर करोगे, दैट वुड बी मच बेटर, और गैस से कवर करोगे, दैट विल बी मच बेटर. वाटर विल बी प्रोवाइडिंग द मोर हाइड्रोस्टैटिक ना, सॉलिड तो खैर प्रोवाइड ही नहीं करेगा, सॉलिड इज इट्स ओन स्टेट. हाइड्रोस्टैटिक स्केलेटन. The coelomic fluid within the body, the coelomic fluid within the body cavity support and provide the rigidity, right? Support and rigidity to the animal's body, to the animal's body, which enable it to move and maintain its shape, which enable it to move and maintain its shape. Second, sorry, next, cushioning, cushioning and protection of internal organs, cushioning and protection of internal organs, as as coelom, as coelom act as cushioning layer, cushioning layer around the developing internal organ, around the developing internal organs and protect them from mechanical shock and impact. And protect them from mechanical shock and impacts. Next, coelom provide the space. Next, coelom provides the space for the development and movement of various organs. For the development and movement of various organs, comma, allowing for more complex and efficient organ system. Allowing for allowing for more complex and efficient organ systems to evolve. Allowing for more complex and efficient organ system to evolve. Next, serving as space serving as space for exchange of nutrients, for exchange of nutrients and their circulation, as as coelomic fluid coelomic fluid serves serves a means of serves as a means of a method of a way of means of various organ system various organ systems to transport nutrients and other substance to transport nutrients and other substance. Last, the coelom also provide the space for growth and movement of internal organs and allowing for more flexibility in animals body plan for more flexibility in animals body plan. नेक्स्ट एक और पॉइंट लिख लो अच्छा. The coelom allows muscles to grow independently. The coelom allows muscles to grow independently of the body wall. ऐसा नहीं है कि जितनी ectoderm will be developed उतनी ही muscle will be developed. Suppose that there's a only this zygote है ना, so external तो सिर्फ there is only this, but we have seen the intestinal muscles have so many long like ऐसे foldings होती है ना. So from where they are getting the foldings, if there will be not space as the outer surface is limited, so do you think they can develop that strong or that long? Even the newly developed child, the newly जो भी deliver होता है baby, that baby also has that intestinal folding that is called ragi or the villi है ना, that is also, so that kind of development of muscles because of the coelom. ठीक है, write it down. The coelom also allow muscles to grow independently to the body wall. ऐसा नहीं कि जितनी body wall होगी उतना ही muscles होगा, to the body wall. As this feature can be seen in the digestive tract of tardigrades. Tardigrade देखा, water bears. tardigrade वैसे सब में ही है, but tardigrade specifically ब्रैकेट में water bears. And also support an immune system in the form of coelomocytes. In the form of coelomocytes. Okay. Coelomic fluid, last लिखो coelomic fluid. Coelomic fluid एक अलग एक concept है, just write 2 or 3 lines about that. Coelomic fluid. The fluid inside the coelom is called coelomic fluid. The fluid inside the coelom is called the coelomic fluid. This is circulated by mesothelial cilia. This is circulated by mesothelial cilia or by contraction of muscles in the body wall. Contraction of muscles in the body wall, which are themselves of mesin, which are themselves of mesin. एक तो छोटू सा heading coelomic fluid में significance, उसी coelomic fluid में just make the heading significance. It allows free movement and growth of internal organs. It allows free movement and growth of internal organs. Provide the medium, second, provide the medium for transport of gases. Provide the medium for transport of gases and nutrition and waste products. Third, allow storage of sperm and eggs. Allow storage of sperm and eggs during maturation. During maturation. So acts as a reservoir. So acts as a reservoir of waste. Of waste. Actually आज की क्लास आप लोगों की इंट्रोडक्टरी होनी थी. Then I thought कि why not to write something about it, है ना? देखो भाई क्यों 2 है 1 नहीं है. Give me just 1 minute guys, है ना? मैं actually PYQ देखने चाह रही हूँ, बस मैं 1 मिनट में सेंड करती हूँ, आती हूँ. ठीक है, just 1 minute guys. ये जो this is a period in which from 2016, okay, from 2016 or 17 if I'm not wrong, 2016 or 17 from up till 2024, 25 का मैंने update नहीं किया अभी तक, my mistake. So we have done that unit wise. जैसे कि unit पर आपकी क्या है non-coded and coded. So we have just done that here coded.
Ma'am, your voice is not clear, ma'am.
Okay. Now it's clear, I think, Rohit, right?
Yeah, ma'am, it is.
Yeah. So now we are seeing that, like, suppose that the non-coded. So first we have done the non-coded from the 2017 से onwards. So you can see non-coded में आपका 24 तक 38 and 51 questions. देख रहे हो आप सिर्फ non-coded से. That means in your 7 years almost 51 questions are there, है ना? So if you include that again coded का non-coded and coded is single unit in your syllabus. So coded से अकेले आपके कितने questions आए हैं? Coded से आपके आए हैं 39 almost. है ना, दिस इज 39 और 40 क्वेश्चन. बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस हैं इन विच आई डिडंट इवन रिपीट लाइक नेम. जैसे यहाँ पे 31 के बाद मैंने 32 नहीं डाला है, राइट, क्योंकि रिपीटिशन ऑफ क्वेश्चन है. सो दैट मींस यू कैन कंसीडर लाइक 40 हियर एंड हियर कितने थे आपके द 51. ऑलमोस्ट आप 60 कंसीडर कर सकते हो. 60 एंड 40 100 क्वेश्चंस है ना. 100 क्वेश्चंस आपके 7 इयर्स में आए. 7 इयर्स में आपके 100 क्वेश्चन है. सो आप 10 12 अराउंड 10 to 12 क्वेश्चन आप एवरेज काउंट कर सकते हो. ठीक है. तो इसलिए ये यूनिट हम लोग अच्छे से थोड़ा सा डिस्क्राइब करके पढ़ेंगे. जैसे कि इसमें देखो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्या है. जो हम लोग कहते थे मतलब आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू शो कि ऐसे करके क्वेश्चन आते हैं. एक बार व्हेन वी विल जस्ट कवर वंस. और देखो जैसे इसमें हमने नंबर मार्किंग नहीं डाली है क्योंकि द लेबल डायग्राम डिफरेंट फ्लावर स्टेज इन द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ fasciola hepatica. And this is again about the fasciola, that is a general feature, life cycle and the pathogenesis of fasciola. So there are so many times a repetition of questions is there, so in which we haven't mentioned the marking also. ठीक है. So that's देखो इसमें ये देखो क्वेश्चन क्या है. 24 में कौन सा क्वेश्चन आया. Did everyone, if it is not visible guys, 24 में आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है. Concept and organization of सीरोम. This is your 10 marker question. समझ आ रहा है. So that's how we'll see that whatever we are covering that is it that much relevant or not. ये तो सिर्फ आपका IAS का क्वेश्चन है ना. मतलब आपका यूपीएससी आईएएस का. हमने आईएफएस अभी भी देखो ये क्या क्वेश्चन लिखा है. What is this 47 question? Read it. The proterostorum and deuterostome. Even we are not writing suppose that proter, although we are going to write that, you can write connecting with the development of the zygocilia and the enterocilia. And the basic concept that proterostome में first mouth development होता है, basic concept ये है, and then and deuterostome में जैसे कि जो आपके higher chordates होते हैं, है ना, at least you have the 4 points right now, the development, the grouping और the basic characters, है ना. ये भी आप लिख सकते हो. ऐसे करके बहुत सारे डिफरेंट चीजें हैं. So we'll talk about the. ठीक है. चलो next write down germ layers. Next write down germ layers. The germ layers, the germ layers are the layer of the embryonic development, the layers of the embryonic development formed mainly into two layers in starting stages. या initial starting कट करो, initial लिखो, better word. In initial stages, that is ectoderm and endoderm, that is ectoderm and endoderm, which are found in the lower invertebrates, and known as diploblastic organism, gradually in that changing evolutionary development The more complexity forms, the more complexity forms in the animal development, in the animal development and formation of three layers and formation of three layers, that is outer ectoderm, outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, middle mesoderm and inner endoderm and inner endoderm, known as triploblastic organisms, known as triploblastic organisms. On the basis of the on the basis of the level of development of embryo of germ layers, on the basis of the level of development of germ layers, the animals are classified into two groups. The animals are classified into two groups. डिप्लोब्लास्टिक एंड ट्रिप्लोब्लास्टिक, राइट लाइक दैट. बस इसमें बस नाम लिखना है, इसका सिग्निफिकेंस कनेक्ट विद द मेटामेरिज्म, विल डू दैट. डिप्लोब्लास्टिक एंड ट्रिप्लोब्लास्टिक. डिप्लोब्लास्टिक में लिखो पॉरीफेरा एंड सीलेंट्रेटा. एग्जांपल डिप्लो में लिखो पॉरीफेरा एंड सीलेंट्रेटा, पॉरीफेरा एंड सीलेंट्रेटा. ट्रिप्लो में लिखो प्लेटीहेल्मिन्थेस, प्लेटीहेल्मिन्थेस, एसके हेल्मिन्थेस एंड सो ऑन. प्लेटीहेल्मिन्थेस, एसके हेल्मिन्थेस एंड so on at higher classification, at higher classification. Next, make the heading metazoan organization. Metazoan organization. Metazoa, metazoa is a multicellular organism, is a multicellular organism composed of composed of many and different types of cells, many or different types of cells, usually arranged, usually arranged in the distinct layer tissues and organs, usually arranged in the distinct layer tissues and organs, while while the other classification of animal kingdom, while other classification of animal kingdom is the protozoa, is the protozoa, which can be classified as unicellular, which can be classified as unicellular or acellular animals, or acellular animals composed of composed of single cells, composed of single cells, or lived in colonies form of like cells, or lived in colonies form of like cells. देखो what is it actually, because we are going to cover the protozoa in the animal kingdom. So first of all we must have this knowledge that where the animal kingdom in that where in the animal kingdom this protozoa lies. So in an animal kingdom is actually the major classification is done on the basis of the number of cells. On the basis of classification done on the basis of on the basis of number of cells. ठीक है, तो एक क्लासिफिकेशन आपका क्या हुआ, प्रोटोजोआ. द वन क्लासिफिकेशन इज योर प्रोटोजोआ. ठीक है, and other classification are your metazoa. Sometimes the question has been come in your 2015 or the 14, I think I'm not exactly remember, 14 or 15 में है. So this they simply ask about the metazoa. So many students get confused because there are so many level of diversification. आपको confuse नहीं होना है, ठीक है. प्रोटोजोआ whole animal kingdom divided into protozoa and the metazoa. प्रोटोजोआ में आपका क्या है, unicellular organism है, and some cells in that unicellular organism, do not get confused into that. In some of in the protozoa, some of the unicellular organism, some lives in the salty tube, मतलब single है ना, but other lives in the group form. But that does not mean that they are living in the group form, so they become the metazoa. Except the protozoa, all the cells, all the multicellular organism, all the multicellular animals. How you will differentiate the animals organism? These kind of do not have the cell wall, है ना? All the multicellular animals comes into the metazoa. Metazoa is actually further divided into the porifera, coelenterata, ctenophora and so on. ठीक है, ऐसे करके लिख लो एनिमल किंगडम, प्रोटोजोआ एंड मेटाजोआ. इसको हम लोग अलग बात करेंगे, वी विल राइट इट सेपरेटली, उसको हम लोग अलग बात करेंगे. राइट इट डाउन लाइक दैट. आज क्लास की स्पीड थोड़ी स्लो है, कल से वील डू अ लिटिल फास्टर नाउ. एक दिन में एटलीस्ट वी विल कवर द 2 to 3 टॉपिक्स. ओके, मिनिमम 3 टॉपिक्स, but these are the base. Okay, डन. सामने के एक पॉइंट लिखो. हो गया एवरीवन? चलो स्टामना के एट द पॉइंट. Metazoans may be also defined as metazoans may be also defined as holozoic multicellular organism, holozoic multicellular organisms developed from embryos. अब यूनिसेल्युलर है सपोज दैट, तो दे डू नॉट टू फॉर्म द एम्ब्रियो, है ना. सपोज दैट इवन इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द सेक्सुअल और द असेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन, सच एज एग्जांपल ऑफ पैरामीशियम. व्हेन वी टॉकिंग अबाउट द पैरामीशियम, सो पैरामीशियम इट इज शोइंग दैट बोथ असेक्सुअल में सीधे सीधे आपका बाइनरी डिवीजन हो जाता है ना, लॉन्गिट्यूडिनल बाइनरी व्हाटएवर यू वांट से. Even in the sexual reproduction, when we talk about the fusion of the small microgametes and all, there we do not form the embryo, do we? No, because paramecium is a protozoa and they are the unicellular. But even if you talk about the porifera, the smallest or the most simpler one in the metazoa is the porifera. Even then we talk about the holoblastula, है ना, archaeocyte, different types of sites also found, different types of cells also found which are forming that water canal system, archaeocyte, hesocyte and so many types of cells, है ना. So embryo वाला जो line है, this is very important to divide the to differentiate the classification between that metazoa and the protozoa. समझ आ गया? नेक्स्ट इसी में लिखो मेटाजोआ में their body cells are generally differentiated, their body cells are generally differentiated into tissues and organs, into tissues and organs which are specialized for different functions, which are specialized for different functions. Full stop. Their gametes are never formed, their gametes are never formed within unicellular structure, within unicellular structure, but are produced within, ऐसा नहीं कि पॉलीफेरम में asexual reproduction नहीं होता, gemule formation is a type of the asexual reproduction, है ना, but majorly they grow in the sexual. Asexual reproduction further as we go, suppose that if we talk about the human can perform the asexual reproduction, no, not at all. Any, all the chordate cannot perform the asexual reproduction. That means sexual reproduction also is one of the complexity level of the development of the animal, है ना. When we talk about the porifera, the gemule formation and all, so we talk about that unfavorable condition, a kind of layer development, है ना, जो उस समय क्या करती है, उस सेल को प्रोटेक्ट करके रखती है. So as soon as they are found, they are feeling that suitable condition, they again start reproducing the sexual reproduction, because sexual reproduction is a energy investment process. ठीक है, right on. The gametes are never formed within the unicellular structure, but are produced, but are produced within within multicellular sex organs, multicellular sex organs, or at least within surrounding somatic cells, or at least within surrounding somatic cells. Next line change करके लिखो. Animals shows various pattern in their morphology. Animals show various pattern in their morphology, which include symmetry. इसीलिए symmetry हमने वहां नहीं करा है, ठीक है, यहां करेंगे symmetry. Which include symmetry bracket में, form of animal development, form of animal development in specific arrangement of, in specific arrangement of body parts, body parts as their segment, as their segments bracket close. नहीं नहीं, as their segments कट करो, body parts सिर्फ इतना ही, as their segment कट कर दो, body parts तक रखो, कॉमा, metamerism, कॉमा, metamerism. Now write it down, development of each body part, development of each body part in the segment form, in the segment form bracket close, comma, cephalization, cephalization, cephalic, cephalization, that is cephalic bracket में लिखो, formation of head, formation of head, comma, level slash grade of, comma, level slash grade of organization, level slash grade of organization bracket, that is progressive sequence of specialization, progressive sequence of specialization. So organization में we are going to talk about mainly one thing, that is your symmetry. ठीक है, symmetry के बाद we talk about the metamerization. Metamerization we will talk about, suppose that in your flatworms the two types of segment is found mainly, जैसे कि coelom था, coelom में there are three type of division, acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and the true coelomate. Similar thing we are going to talk about in that metamers. Metamers, that means segmented body. Metamers simple segmented body, जैसे कि we see that in earthworm there is segmentation body. When we see that flatworm, flatworm में भी क्या है आपकी segmented body. So this kind of segment does they found just externally or internally. So on the basis of that, a non-metamerism like a segmentation, then pseudo segmentation, or the false segmentation, or the true segmentation. We'll go with this in the next. Okay, thank you. I hope the class is easy to understand. If there are any doubt, you guys can ask me in the next class. Okay, thank you everyone.